The West Philippine Sea is a lifeline for the Philippines, rich in fish, vital for trade, and rumored to hold vast oil and gas reserves. For coastal communities, these waters mean food and jobs. Trillions in global trade pass through here each year, making it a strategic crossroads for the world. But this treasure is now a flashpoint. The Philippines and China both claim these waters, their boundaries overlapping and fueling a tense standoff. The Philippines relies on international law, UNCELOS, and the 2016 Hague ruling, which sided with Manila. China, however, rejects the ruling, insisting on its sweeping 9-line claim, putting it at odds with the Philippines and other neighbors. This has turned the sea into a stage for daily confrontations, where the rule of law is challenged by the rule of force. Filipino fishermen face harassment, livelihoods are threatened, and the risk of escalation grows. Each close encounter between vessels could spark a wider conflict, drawing in global powers. The West Philippine Sea is no longer just a national treasure, it's one of the world's most dangerous flashpoints. The stakes, sovereignty, security, and the peace of an entire region. The West Philippine Sea is now a battleground of nerves and strategy. Philippine Coast Guard and supply boats try to reach outposts like the BRP Sierra Madre, while Chinese Coast Guard and maritime militia block their way. Chinese ships have used water cannons, dangerous maneuvers, and intimidation to assert control. Filipino fishermen, once free to fish, now face harassment and fear for their safety. These aren't isolated incidents. They're part of a calculated campaign to wear down Philippine resolve. Diplomatic protests pile up, but the confrontations only intensify. The risk of miscalculation is real. One wrong move could trigger disaster. For Filipino communities, this is a daily struggle for survival, not just a geopolitical chess match. The world watches closely, as these clashes test international law and the principle of freedom of navigation. The West Philippine Sea has become a proving ground for power, law, and the will to resist. Every encounter is a reminder. Peace here is fragile, and the cost of conflict could be immense. The stakes are personal, national, and global. The Philippines stands firm. Its government insists it will not yield an inch of its territory. Resupply missions and patrols in its exclusive economic zone are declared legal, routine, and non-provocative. To reinforce its stance, the Philippines has deepened alliances, especially with the United States, expanding joint military exercises like Balikatan. These drills modernize the armed forces and send a clear message. The Philippines is not alone. Manila asserts its right to choose its partners and defend its sovereignty, rejecting outside interference. The government frames its actions as defensive, aimed at upholding a rules-based order. By continuing patrols and standing up to intimidation, the Philippines signals resilience and determination. International law and global support bolster its position, even against a much larger neighbor. The message is clear. The Philippines will defend its rights, no matter the odds. From Beijing's perspective, the Philippines is the provocateur. China claims indisputable sovereignty over the sea, viewing Philippine outposts and U.S. military drills as illegal and destabilizing. Chinese patrols and Coast Guard actions are framed as routine law enforcement to protect national interests. The growing U.S. Philippines alliance is seen as a direct threat, prompting China to harden its stance and increase its presence. Beijing warns Manila against relying on outside powers, insisting this will only worsen tensions. China's strategy: create facts on the water, making its control a reality regardless of international rulings. Through diplomatic protests and a formidable maritime presence, China aims to cement its dominance. The result: a long-term power play to reshape the region's balance, with no sign of backing down. The United States is a key player, bound to the Philippines by a 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty. Washington has clarified any attack on Philippine forces or vessels in the South China Sea could trigger U.S. support. This security guarantee boosts Philippine confidence and deters aggression. The U.S. backs its words with military aid, joint patrols, and expanded exercises, signaling unity. But this support is a double-edged sword. While it deters, it also raises the stakes. China sees U.S. involvement as an attempt to contain its rise, fueling a cycle of escalation. Every American move prompts a stronger Chinese response, increasing the risk of confrontation. The U.S. must balance its commitment to the Philippines with the need to avoid direct conflict with China. The debate in Washington is defending Philippine claims worth risking war with a nuclear power. The challenge is to deter aggression without stumbling into catastrophe. The U.S. walks a tightrope, supporting an ally, upholding law, but trying to keep the peace. The world holds its breath, hoping deterrence doesn't turn into disaster. Every tense encounter in the West Philippine Sea risks spiraling out of control. A collision or accidental clash could trigger the U.S. Philippines Defense Treaty, drawing in global powers. The region is one of the world's most dangerous flashpoints. Many experts warn upholding international law is vital, but not at the cost of a catastrophic war. The focus must be on de-escalation and crisis management, not military posturing. Expanding military operations could provoke Beijing, making diplomacy harder. The challenge: push back against coercion without cornering China into a more aggressive stance. A conflict here would cripple global trade and devastate economies worldwide. Preventing war is a global imperative. Diplomacy and restraint are essential. The world cannot afford a misstep in these contested waters. The Philippines is working to stand on its own, building up its Navy and Coast Guard to defend its waters. Capacity building means more patrol vessels, better surveillance, and real-time intelligence. Modern equipment and training help the Philippines monitor and protect its maritime territory. Documenting and publicizing aggressive actions puts diplomatic pressure on China. This approach is less provocative than a permanent U.S. military presence and asserts Philippine sovereignty. By leading its own defense, Manila strengthens its position and reduces the perception of being a proxy. The goal isn't to match China's might, but to raise the cost of aggression. A stronger, more capable Philippines is a better partner for regional security. The message: any violation of sovereignty will meet determined resistance. To avoid disaster, restraint and de-escalation are urgently needed. The U.S. should emphasize diplomacy and crisis management over military muscle. Clear communication, like military hotlines, can prevent misunderstandings at sea from escalating. Crisis prevention is as important as crisis response. Separating the South China Sea dispute from broader U.S.-China rivalry makes solutions more achievable. Stability must be the priority. A military conflict would be catastrophic. The best path combines principled support for allies with a pragmatic commitment to peace. Cool heads and careful diplomacy are the only way forward. The ultimate goal is a stable, peaceful West Philippine Sea. Achieving this requires diplomacy, respect for international law, and open communication. Dialogue between the Philippines and China is essential, even if sovereignty remains disputed. Preventive diplomacy and regional cooperation, especially through ASEAN, can help manage tensions. A binding code of conduct would set clear rules and reduce risks. The 2016 arbitral ruling remains a powerful tool for peaceful resolution. Balancing strength with diplomacy offers the best hope for the future. The path to peace demands patience, courage, and a shared commitment. With measured responses and a focus on law, the West Philippine Sea can become a sea of peace and prosperity once again.